Hey Dexter, Michael here. So I've already written you up a migrant survival guide where I teach you some key concepts of intercultural communication to help you survive while you're over in Korea. But now I'm going to teach you 5 terms, hopefully, that you didn't know before that will help you survive while you're in Korea. So the first term that I'm going to teach you is cultural imperialism. Now that definition is a domination through the spread of cultural products. So an example of that could be McDonald's. McDonald's was started here in the United States and it grew to be a big chain, and now it's an international fast food chain. So there's McDonald's in China, Japan, France. They're all over the world, and so in that sense, American culture is dominating in those countries through a cultural product, which is McDonald's. The next term that I'm going to teach you is assimilation. Now, you might have heard this word already, but the definition for that is cultural adaptation, where an individual gives up their own culture and adopts the mainstream heritage. So, an example of that could be if you go to Korea and you completely, forfeit your American culture and you completely adapt the Korean culture. Adapt the food, the language, everything, and you just completely forfeit your American culture. So, the next term is culture shock. And that definition is a feeling of disorientation and discomfort due to lack of familiar cues in the environment. So, when you get to Korea, if you've never been there before, you might step off the plane and just see people who are completely different than you, people that you've never seen before, something completely different than you're used to, and that would be culture shock. You get off the plane, and you're hungry and you're looking for food. That might be a culture shock also because you're not used to that specific food. However, culture shock is a short-lived experience. After a while, you adapt and culture shock goes away. The next term, actually, that I'm going to give you is cultural adoption. So that definition is the long-term process of adjusting to and finally feeling comfortable in a new environment. Like I said, culture shock is only a short time. So eventually a cultural adaptation kicks in where you feel comfortable and you adapt to the culture that's around you. And it's a good feeling when you finally can feel comfortable in what you're doing there. The final word that I'm going to teach you is migrant. So migrant is an individual who leaves primary culture context in which they were raised and moves to a culture context for an extended time. So you can be an example of this. You're moving from the United States to Korea. You would be, if you stayed for an extended time and picked up their cultural cues and their culture in general, then you would be a migrant if you stayed for an extended amount of time. So those are all the words I have for you. Hopefully these words and the migrant guide that I gave you will help you to survive in Korea. Have fun and be safe.